Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Red Loosey podcast. This is the last episode of the Between the Lines Festival mini-series, and I want to thank you so much for watching me interview all these incredible authors. Unfortunately, and I am so sorry, the footage for this episode was lost, but I still have the audio, thank goodness. In this episode, I interviewed Sukhjit Kaur Khalsa, West Australian writer, poet, and speaker. So, without further ado, let's get into this video. And if you do enjoy it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. So yeah, see you soon. We're going to have a bit of a quick fire round, as I like to call it. So this or that, and just answer the first thing that comes to your mind.
Sure.
Smart or casual?
Casual.
Fiction or non-fiction?
Non-fiction.
Ooh. Reading or writing?
Writing.
Left or right?
Right.
Night or day?
Night.
TV shows or movies?
TV shows.
Sunset or sunrise?
Sunset.
Rain or shine?
Shine.
Invisibility or flight?
Flight.
Cafe or restaurant?
Cafe.
Sweet or savoury?
Savoury.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
I don't think I've had a single tea from an author. I don't know if that's like a common thing.
It's because we stay up late and we have to like get that energy up. I think the tea, well, I know some people who drink tea and it's calming, but I prefer coffee.
Yeah. You can't live without it? Or
Yes.
just like
Well, I'm actually bad with coffee because I have a low tolerance. So if I have it after midday, I am jittery. And even just one cup,
like buzzing.
I'm buzzing and I'm like, I want to save the world. I want to do a
Yeah.
million things and I can't like slow down.
I really want to get into slam poetry. Do you have any like hot tips for getting into something like that?
I feel like if you're first starting out and you're not sure when to start, the greatest thing is to sign up for an event or give yourself a deadline to go, you know what, by this date, I'm going to write a poem and I'm going to perform it somewhere. And I feel like if there's an open mic night in your local area, if there's already a slam poetry space or a spoken word sort of competition, that's the best way to like set yourself that, you know, I'm going to do it. Because it's scary, like, you know, to write pen on paper and actually get started. And I think you should start with a topic that you're passionate about, something that gets you angry, something that gets you passionate, something that you love, and then the poetry will be easier to talk about. Yeah.
So just like throw yourself into it almost?
Absolutely. I think that we can, you know, as perfectionists, sometimes we go, oh, it has to be perfect, it has to be edited, it has to be good enough. But you know what? It's great just to start, because as soon as you start, you can do the next thing and then the next thing, and you can always keep doing it. You can write something better next time. But I think it's really important just to start.
Yeah.
It took me a while to start. Like I remember the first time I told myself I wanted to do this, it took me a year to finally write a poem.
Yeah.
And then I had to like perform it at this slam competition, and I'm really glad I threw myself in it because it was a good way to be in the deep end and kind of just be brave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've asked a couple authors this, and I really find it interesting to hear the different answers. But when you begin a poem or a book or a script, do you start with a concept or a character or a place or a thing? Like, what do you start with?
For me, like, inspiration comes from the world. So I feel like I only write when something has happened to me and I don't know how to process it. So I write about it and then I come back to it when I'm not as emotional.
Yeah.
And then I turn it into something artistic. So it could be a poem, it could be a song, it could be something that goes in a script, it could be something that goes in a play or, you know, screenwriting, a screenplay. But usually for me, it doesn't start with, like, I'm not very strict with myself. Like, I'm not disciplined. Like, I don't sit there and go, okay, I'm going to write this today, even though I should.
Yeah.
I think it usually is unexpected inspiration. You know, I could be driving and have to quickly pull over, or I'm in the shower and I have to like remember that thought and quickly write it down, or right before bed.
I know, that's how I get ideas.
Oh, it's like the worst because you wake up in the morning and you've forgotten that amazing idea. It could be a line, or it could be an idea, like just like the beginning of something. Sometimes I've got like a Word document on my laptop, or I've got a note section on my phone. I just jot down random things that come to mind so I don't want to forget them. And then every now and then I'll go through them and be like, oh, what's useful, what's not really useful, if I'm looking for inspiration.
Yeah, I often find that in the middle of the night, I wake up with like the best idea ever, and if I don't write it down the next day, it's, you know,
It's
completely
gone. Or sometimes when I'm writing really late and a bit delirious, I wake up the next morning and it's not very good because I like thought it was really great in that moment, but then it was like, oh.
Yeah. And one thing I'm also really interested in, when you begin a story, do you have a whole idea in mind, or just like a little bit and you kind of make it up as you go along?
Depends what the project is. So sometimes a project might be like, if I have to submit something for a particular purpose, then I'll brainstorm and I'll do my research and I'll start plotting, or I'll create something more fully formed and I'll know where I'm going with it, and I kind of have to structure it before I delve into the creative side. But if it's something for fun, usually it's not structured, and usually it's go with the flow. Usually like I'll write stories on my phone because I'll be somewhere, like I'll be on a bus or I'll be at a bench somewhere and I'm thinking and I'm like, oh, I have to write this down now. So I write it all in one go and it's just whatever came out.
Yeah.
And then later I'll come back to it and edit it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the grammar won't be great and everything will just be all over the place. Yeah.
And last but not least, can you tell us about your experience on Australia's Got Talent?
Yeah, so that happened when I'm now 27, and that happened when I was 21. So it's been quite a few years, but it's the moment that I really got a lot of exposure to the arts industry, and I got a lot of opportunities after that. And I feel like it was a very spur of the moment, spontaneous decision. It wasn't, like it wasn't very, like I was in that phase of throwing myself into things, and I used to say yes to everything. I used to just be more brave. I think the older I'm getting and the more experience I'm getting a bit more careful. I think that's just how we, you know, develop as artists. But at that time, I was just going for it. I don't think I'd do that again. I think now that I've experienced it, but it's a good example of doing something outside of your comfort zone, and not knowing what the outcome will be. Like when I went on, I didn't know if I was going to get through. I didn't know if it was going to get on TV. I didn't know that I'd get such a positive reception. I was quite scared, but sometimes those risks that we take can be really rewarding.
Yeah. Would you do it again if you had the chance to? Or
Probably.
is it something you kind of regret?
No, I think that it was hard. It was hard to experience it, but I don't regret it. I think that it was good for that period of time. Yeah. And without that, I wouldn't have been given so many opportunities. Yeah. And I think that it's good that it happened. I don't think I'd recommend people go on that, but I would recommend performing in front of audiences. I do recommend slam poetry competitions, or just writing competitions, or just signing up for stuff. So
yes, and that is it. Thank you so much for coming for this little kind of short episode, and if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like on YouTube, subscribe, and share it with all your friends. Goodbye, and keep reading.
Thanks.
Woo.